If you love cute spring drawings or you've been waiting for something fun to draw for Easter, you're going to want to see this. Hey friends, it's Chris. Today I'm sharing the replay of a live webinar I just hosted to celebrate the launch of my brand new course, the Easter Drawing Advent Calendar, a cozy springtime drawing journey where you create a new illustration every single day. If you missed the live event, don't worry, you get the full experience right here. I walk you through how the course works, show you the inside of the daily lessons, and we draw an adorable little duckling together step by step. So grab your iPad, get comfy, and let's jump into the replay. And if you decide you'd love to join this year's Creative Easter Countdown, you'll find all the details waiting for you below. All right, I'll see you inside. Very good. Well, thank you so much for joining me as always. It's so nice to be able to get together and just hang out and have a nice relaxing time and have some fun. And yeah, so I'm pretty sure many of you are probably familiar with what we did for Christmas, the Christmas calendar. And I had such a great response from that. And a lot of you asked specifically for an Easter one. So I thought, absolutely, I can do that. I love Easter. I love springtime, and I love everything that has gone into that. So it's been a real, as always, a labor of love, and it's just been such a fun one to do. So I hope you all enjoy it, and just thank you for the inspiration to do it. And of course, again, if you're new, the concept of it is sort of working your way up till to Advent till Easter, and sort of like an Advent calendar kind of thing. So this is exactly what that is. So let's dive in. Okay, so I'm gonna just go to my screen and I'll just show you around. We'll kind of walk through it, and I'll just show you the actual course, and then we'll do a little drawing together because we're gonna do the little duckling. So why don't we get to it? All right, I'm gonna just go to my screen here, and hopefully you can all see that. So this is the Easter Drawing Advent Calendar. So I try to incorporate all the lovely things we think about when we think of springtime and Easter, of course. So we've got lots of goodies. So of course the concept is to draw your way to Easter. It's a little countdown for artists, and it's kind of like those little old school advent calendars we used to have as kids. So instead of chocolates, of course, we have open a drawing every day. So there's the little promo video, but I won't play that right now. So same concept as the Christmas calendar, of course, but all very different subjects. And I also do, I'd really touch on how to maximize your efforts. So how to be really efficient in your drawing, in that, how to create things and kind of conceptualize things to use again and again, because especially with springtime, there's a lot to draw and a lot of florals and whatnot, and a lot of, you want it to make it look full and rich. And I really cover how to do that and how to maximize your efforts so you can have all these really lush, wonderful drawings. So it's not just drawing, but it's also kind of the concept of how to think your way through a project. So I hope you find that really valuable, because it's something I think about all the time. So these are some of the lovely projects we're going to do together. A little duckling. And of course, here's just a quick little sneak peek at what it looks inside, and how you can kind of see how we reuse some of our artwork to create even bigger pieces. And of course, these make great gifts, and you can create loads of projects together with them. So we do some cards and whatnot, and building scenes that you can use in all sorts of wonderful creations. So yes, of course, we have the videos, the templates. I've included some just simple card templates for you. There's the drawing lessons, of course. I do have all the artwork, the finished references here for you, so it's really easy for you to have a look and see what's going on while you're creating that. And so that's really helpful, I'm sure. And there's me. And of course, excuse me, I've included the brushes and the canvas and the swatches as always, so that's ready to go for you. So Super easy. You've got everything that you need. So we'll be doing loads and loads of drawing as always. So this is how the days unfold. They kind of build on each other. And so we create, eggs that we can use again in different projects. You can see that, day 1 and then day 10 here. We use the eggs to build the wreath kind of a thing. You can put your hot cross buns, which was one of the suggestions that you guys gave me, so I put those in there for sure. You can put those in one of the baskets down here if you wanted instead of the eggs. You can kind of mix and match and create all these different variations. You can put the bunny in the little in the watering can, or you can put the duck in the watering can, whatever you want. So we have all the good stuff, and of course some actual drawings that are really what Easter's all about. So we go through this, and you can see the whole curriculum is pretty straightforward in that just day by day we go through one drawing at a time. Some of them are broken up into 2 just because they were quite lengthy, and they kind of had different subjects that needed to be done within them, but you can kind of see how that goes there. All right, of course, bonuses, kind of reviewed those already. And there we go. So I'll just jump back over here. Hello again. So that's just the sort of a quick overview of the course. And it's, like I said, it's basically 29 days of drawing, and then you can have like another day of kind of putting all the scenes together and file prep and whatnot. So it's basically based on a 30-day sort of a month-long thing, but obviously, you can do it at whatever pace you wish. Okay, so is everybody ready to draw? Actually, today I'm going to show you a video from the course instead of drawing live, just because I kind of I'm doing it all alone, so I just need to monitor the broadcast. But it's exactly how I would teach it to you live. So we're going to go ahead and play the video if everyone wants to follow along or just chill out and relax. But I don't know about you, but I really am looking forward to spending some time before Easter and actually just getting my head in gear and just having some calm time to reflect and enjoy and just kind of get my heart prepared. So I'm really looking forward to doing that during this time. So let's get to it. I'm gonna play the video. And just if you guys could let me know if you can hear the audio, that would be great. In today's lesson, we're going to draw something super cute. We're going to draw a little duckling, and he will be the one that we have towing that little wagon full of Easter eggs. So I'm excited to do this one, so I hope you are too. So let's get to it. Of course, our guy is going to be very cute, so you know what that means. Cute proportions with our simple shapes. Is that better? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a circle. I'm going to hold it down just so it doesn't really need to be perfect, but let's just, for this instance, I will make a perfect circle. I'm going to duplicate that layer. Oops, just duplicate that and drag it down. And these are basically my proportions. I'm going to have them so they're a little bit overlapping. And there we go. I'm just going to merge that together so I can have that as a little template. Okay, I'm just going to move this up just a little bit. Okay, and then let's begin with his little head. So what I'm going to have is his eyes quite low, and then his beak will be kind of like this. If I can get it right, curve it like that, and a little scoop, very soft shape like this. So kind of like a funny bell shape almost. And then his little lip below, little lip, I guess part of his beak. It looks like a lip. It's gonna go like this. I think that looks about right. So let me just use my eraser. His eye's gonna be kind of like that. right. Just making sure this is as cute as possible, just having lovely, rounded, soft edges. Okay. Lovely. Oops, not my eraser. There we go. Okay, so then of course he'll have a little eyebrow too. Why not? All right, his head will go like this, just round. And then here we'll have, you know, a few little bits kind of sticking up like a little kid, little funny hair. Okay, so I just wanted to note that so that when we're doing that, we don't forget. Okay, his little chin here. So now let's focus on his body a little bit. So it's gonna be here. And I don't want this quite as perfectly circled, maybe a little bit more, a little bit straighter here. Still quite round here. A little bit flatter maybe there. And then of course he's got, you know, a bit of a tail here. So this cute little shape. But we do need his hand because it will be holding a string as best he can with his little wing here. So have it curve. And what I wanted to do here is just make sure that this part of the wing, I want it kind of like this, like a piece like this, little, you know, bits here. It sort of, you know, breaks up here so you can still see his little bit of his tail. It's not going to be very exaggerated. In fact, I might have made it a little bit too long. So just sort of his little body there. Okay, I'm just going to flatten that out a little bit. I don't need my circles anymore, so I can just get rid of those. Let's see how cute that is. Just 2 circles. We're good. That's all you need. All right. Let's just make sure that that's coming like that. I might perfect this a little bit more, but you get the idea. And then let's just have his little legs. So his legs will be like this, and then like this. Just trying to make sure I get them in the right place. And then he'll have a little foot. And just subtly like this, because you won't really see all of it.
What?
Just a little bit of a shape. I like that. Let's see, I don't really have his heel quite right. That looks a bit wonky. So make sure his heel does sit on the ground. And then we have this little foot kind of coming up, so he's walking. I don't know if maybe we can get the sort of that idea of that third little bit, just subtly. Maybe I can try that on this end too. So just having that third little scallop for his lovely little feet. I think that's fine. I don't want them to be a big focus. In fact, I think I drew them a little bit too small. So what I'm going to do is take my selection tool, just one at a time with free hand, just size them. I'm just going to zoom out so I can see a little bit better. Yeah, I think that's actually a lot better proportionately. Okay, so again, taking that other foot. Okay, I think that's better. Makes more sense. All right, let's go and add a bow, because why not? You can if you want. If you want to have the option of having a bow and not having a bow, you could do it on a separate layer. I'm gonna have it on all the same layer, but obviously for your sketch it doesn't matter, but you know, you can do that so you could have dress them differently or whatever you like, but I'm gonna have a bow. But just know there's always options. Okay, so I'm gonna have it so it goes around his neck, like that. Let's just see. I actually don't love the angle that I just drew that on. I kind of would like it to be more like that, going around. I think that looks a little bit more better. All right, and then, you know, doesn't really make total sense, but having the ties kind of flying away like this. Let's see, what angle do I want this on? That would look better. Just making sure that there's separation so you can see them, the different shapes. Okay, is there anything that I need to do? I feel like his body might be a little bit too long. I think I might want to shorten this a little bit. So I'm going to take my magic wand and just scooch this. Oops, what a weird glitch. Scooch this in just a little bit. Or I could even go to freeform and just do it this way. Push that in. I think that's a bit cuter. He was getting a little bit long. So I think that's probably better. I think so. And let's see, I did say I wanted to kind of address this a little bit better. Just gonna do this. So he has his little feathers that kind of don't need to be so long, actually. Little bits here like that. Okay. Not sure why I can't get this to look how I want to do. There. Okay. And let's see. It's still not quite 100% on this little body here. So let me go and take my selection tool. This is all part of art. Adjust until you get it. Maybe a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. Maybe that's what I'm needing. Maybe. I think so. He's a very cute little guy. All right, and then he'll be towing his wagon behind. All right, I think I'm pretty happy with that. I could play with the size of the bow if I wanted to see if it would be funnier if it was bigger. I'm not really sure, so I've just selected it. I'm on freeform, just note that, so maybe go to uniform. Maybe a little bit more like that. I'm just gonna do freeform again so I can just squish it a bit. Let's see, I've gone from this to this. Sure, and I also think that it would be nice if this was a little bit thicker. All right, looking cute. Okay, happy with that. So let's just go ahead and turn down the opacity of our sketch layer and create a new layer. Okay, and before we begin, I'm just gonna make sure that my brush size is at 15. And we can begin. So I'm just gonna color in his little eye. Oh, and I didn't give him a little nose hole, so probably should do that. I'll let him breathe. Let's see if I can get this to be a nice little soft line. There we go. Not sure if that's how I would like to end that part, so let's just there. Okay, and then I'm just gonna make sure this looks kind of fluffy. With just little dashed lines. And then make sure that this looks around. It's got a few little out of control hairs here. And then you can start going the other direction. Give it a few more wisps and clump them together so it looks a little bit like little downy bits. Okay. And under here as well, of course, that doesn't look quite right, so let's try that again. Lovely. Okay, and then we'll just add this little bow. All right, again with the fluffy bits. And then this little wing. Have that just so that these are kind of bigger separations, sort of flip, if that makes any sense. It's kind of like this. So they start to look a little bit like his hand. Okay, looks good. Just making sure that this is separate there. All right, we're doing well. So let's just get these little legs. Okay, I think this is a little bit long actually, so I'm just gonna go to my magic wand to liquify and just with push, just move that. I just might have had him a little bit out of proportion compared to that guy, so he should be a bit shorter. All right, let's just take a look without our sketch. And there he is, what a cutie. Okay, I noticed I did this where I did not put my little lines here, so let's just get those in there. Okay, maybe we'll have some gathers here where it's kind of... All right, I missed his little eyebrow, which I liked. So let's put that back in. Let's have a look, and yeah, that's looking pretty cute. So I think we can get rid of our old sketch layer, and let's do this first. I'm going to do my little line treatment. So actually I'll just rename it line, I guess, for this because we just have one character in this scene. So line, duplicate, tap on the end, make it color burn, go with the magic wand, Gaussian blur, make it go up to 3%, back to the original line layer, tap on the end, change it to multiply, and make it about 50%. Great, let's create a new layer, drag it below, and fill it in. So we can pick whatever color. I'm just going to use something a little bit darker just so that you can see. And we're just going to color this little guy in. You can just loop through here, come back to here. It doesn't matter because we'll do the bow over top. Okay, so that's going to connect through. So he has one solid fill, and I'm just going to take that color, go way up, way to the right, so it's almost white, and just leave it at that, maybe even a little bit whiter. It's pretty sweet and light. Okay, so let's go on to another layer. So create a new layer on top. Let's do his beak and his feet. We can do the same layer for that. So I just picked this color, sorry, that one there. It'll be something close to what we will want. Okay, that, and then his little feet. Oops, get that in there. Okay, and next is the bow. So you can just select that. Let's just use this blue here. Okay, yay, look at that. All right, so let's start by, let's see, just giving his body just a little bit of shadow. Again, I just want to be really gentle with this. Tap on the layer, create a new layer on top, tap on it, clipping mask. Let's just get this, let's see, I want this to be gray enough. So start here, I just want a little bit more gray maybe. Then let's go to the wet paint bloom, and yeah, that's gonna be nice. So make sure your opacity is all the way up. maybe size around, I don't know, 25, let's see. Okay, so that's nice and subtle. You could push more to make it darker, of course. Just go underneath here, the back of his head, a little bit under here, a little bit underneath his chin. Bring your brush quite small, maybe to about 10 or so, because I'm just trying to get just underneath that wing there. And underneath the bow, because that would cast a little bit of a shadow, of course. Okay, that's kind of all you need for that. All right, let's create a new layer again. Clipping mask. Let's go in and get this pink, or do I need the peach? It's gonna, no, I don't like that. Try this pink. It's probably too dark, but I kind of like the color of it. Oh, maybe the light pink, it actually is just fine. Okay, so the light pink, after all that, just have your brush around 14. Just give a nice little soft cheek here. If you want to go over it twice, maybe you actually need to your brush a little bit bigger, even to about 20. Just maybe that's a little bit overboard. Something like that. Now I'm going to do a highlight layer at the very top. So I'm going to create a new layer. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to do this in white. So create a new layer on top of all of your lines, just because, and make it white, just because I'm going to go and give the eye just a little highlight. So right there, a nice little highlight. That makes that pop so much nicer than it was before. Back to his beak and feet layer. To create a new layer on top, clipping mask. Pick this yellow, actually this light yellow here, with your build and blend. Let's just go and lighten this up a little bit. So I'm just gonna have it right about here. Just start to blend that in a little, maybe around here a little bit. You can go over it a couple times if you want. We're gonna come in, of course, with our highlight, but I just wanted a little, like, start it off a little bit here. And then I'm going to go to maybe this darker color and just scrub the edge a little bit. Maybe put more paint on, so tap, 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 and then blend. And if you have trouble blending, you can go with your smudger and just smudge that out a little bit. Then underneath here, see, I'm tapping to put more paint down. Okay, that might be enough shadow. Let's have a look. Okay, and then while we're with this color, let's just go ahead and give him a little shadow here. So push with that paint and then ease up on your pressure just to blend that out. So you can kind of see where I'm going just on the back side there, and then underneath, and then back over here. Okay. Now let's create a new layer on top. You guessed it, make it a clipping mask and change the in to add. Bring it down to about 40%, something like that. You can get the yellow, and we'll probably need to change this. So let's have a look. Yeah, probably maybe go around 70%, something like that. I'm being really light with my pressure and just kind of like that, and then have a little bit here, blend it. Yeah, that's really cute. So, and then maybe a little bit along here. Teeny bit on this edge here. There you go. Okay. We just need a little bit here. Kind of like that. Perfect. Now all we have to do is the bow. So let's go to the bow, fill, and create a new layer, make it a clipping mask. Get this darker bluey color, still with wet and build and blend. Bring your opacity all the way to the top. Just do our shadows here, so tap, tap, tap to get that paint in there. And scrub to blend. Might have to put a little pattern on here, maybe a little simple polka dot or something, just to liven things up a bit. Okay, and a little shadow behind here, because that might show that. Okay, maybe a little bit of shadow in here, not loads, but okay. That's good. Now I'm going to actually change this blending mode to multiply, and I'm going to create a new layer below. Automatically will become a clipping mask. Just grab white. I'm going to looks a bit sketchy, and just create a little pattern. Actually, I'm going to have my brush size up, so just do remember that you've changed it. Mine's at about 35. Just be easier to do polka dots here. I'm just going to do sort of like that, and then space them out randomly. Well, actually it isn't a pattern, but you know, sort of just alternating, something like that. Now, see what happens with that multiply layer. Because we turned it to multiply, that means that it kind of has a different type of transparency, so it affects the layer below, so it kind of does have that blue over top. You can still see the white through, so that's what we want. So I'm going to attempt to have these similar spacing as the other side. But just a simple pattern just really livens things up, I think. Okay. Yay, he's so cute. Okay, I think the last thing we do is just create a new layer on top of our bow here, clipping mask. Let's change it to add, make it around 40%, somewhere in there. Get this light blue, wet, build and blend. And let's just see, I'm guessing, yes, of course I need it lower. So opacity around, I don't know, 60, somewhere like that. Just throw a few little highlights on this. I want them, I'm just going to blend that out a little bit, just a little bit here and there. Okay, and there he is. What an adorable little guy. Okay, so let's put them together. We've been dying to do this. So what I'm going to do is actually create a new canvas. So I'm going to go in here and just duplicate my canvas. Okay, so then I'm going to go and actually just select all my layers. And I'm just going to group them and then tap on that and say flatten. So now he's just one image. Don't forget, I always have my working one, so we can change anything we need, but we have our fill here. So I can go to the canvas here, make sure that my canvas is off and the background color is off, then go to the wrench, go to add, copy canvas, then back to our canvas that has just our duck here, and then go to the wrench and say paste. Okay, great. And I can just size that, and I'm going to actually flip horizontal because we drew it in the other direction, and then I'm going to just move my little guy over a bit. Might have to size him down just so we can fit everybody in here. That's probably good. Just going to have him walking roughly on the same plane. Okay, and then on a new layer, I'm just gonna go and make a tie. So I'm going to use the brown, and it looks a bit sketchy. Then I'm just going to go from here. Actually, I'll remember my brush was up, so I got to move it down again, so 15 here. And, you know, give it some thickness. And, you know, we might want to like make it look like it's on here. Sort of a loop through, something like that. Okay. And if we're really feeling creative, we can put some, not creative, but like we want to put more details on. Just a few lines to make it look a little bit like a rope. Okay, and to be consistent, I'm going to go and create or duplicate this, do our little line application here, so change it to color burn, go with the magic wand, Gaussian blur, 3%, lower one down to multiply, and 50%. On a layer below, I'm going to go and get, let's see, this color, I think a wet solid brush, and just simply fill that in. Okay, now it's together. It makes sense. The last thing we can do is just go and make a little shadow. So I'm going to go and create a new layer and drag that below. You can go to this little color here, and let's see, start with a wet paint bloom. The other thing, of course, when we put it in a scene, we can add all like grasses and things like that. I'm just gonna dust this kind of like this, and just sort of like that. And then I'm going to go to my magic wand, Gaussian blur, and just blur it. Doesn't matter what percentage, just whatever kind of looks good for you. I'm not even looking at that. Mine's ending up at 15. Okay, that's fine. Now create a new layer. Still the same brush. I'm just going to actually just make it a little bit tighter, a little bit smaller. My brush is now 10%, just really close up. I find that that just makes it look a little bit more realistic. Okay, there he is. Oh, what a cutie. But yeah, I would like some, you know, obviously greenery and stuff, so when we put it in full scene, that would look amazing. So there he is. I hope you enjoyed that one. I certainly did. So fantastic job. We'll be doing some more cute characters coming up. So I look forward to seeing you there. See you soon. Okay, so we'll do question time if anyone has anything to talk about. If you were paying attention to the chat at all, there was a couple of questions, so let's go and review those. Some of you were saying that you have trouble with painting. Sorry. Let me just sort of, how do I say, Pen Reinhardt. So what I was meaning, as long as it isn't in the raw stamp, and yes. So she was having a question about using stamps, and you know, if you use the stamps to draw your own character or your own creation, are you allowed to create seamless patterns out of them? Absolutely, yes. It's your drawing. Those are just guides. So I just was saying, as long as the stamp actually isn't in it, which wouldn't look good anyways, because the stamps aren't meant to be beautiful. You make them beautiful. You make your drawing beautiful. They're just meant as a guide to get you started. So absolutely, you can use those for commercial. Like what you create using the stamp. Yes, you can use commercially or any way you like. So no worries there. Okay, so we were talking a little bit about, or some of you were discussing about, oh, Penny. Thanks, Penny. So some of you were talking about painting and having issues with the painting. The drawing is fine, but you get a little bit stuck when you start painting. And I think it was Jordan who was saying about one of the reasons it was kind of overdoing shadows. If you want to say exactly what your issue is with painting, that would be good too. I can help clarify. I was kind of saying it is harder because it is a little bit more interpretive. Like drawing is pretty, like you can see if you've done it exactly this, like it's a little bit more step by step. Painting is maybe slightly more interpretive kind of because, well, you know, just depends on how much paint you lay down too, or digital paint, right? Well, real paint too, it's same applies. But Jordan was saying about overdoing shadows. Yeah, that can be really easily done. It's just too dark, there's too much contrast between, your midtones and your shadows. And that is really easy to do. So what I suggest, of course, me and I love a lot of layers. So if you do overdo it, at least you could go into your layer and turn the opacity down. You could smudge it out a little bit. Just always, just like in watercolor painting, always start light and build up. It doesn't have to be just one pass and you got it perfect. Just be really patient and just slowly ease up. Use, lighter colors if you're not too bold. And it depends on what it is too, like what style it is. Sometimes you want more of a dramatic look, but that would be just, and then, the usual boring answer, practice, right? You just, over time you kind of get your own method going. Obviously, I'm assuming the filling in section, how I like to work is have my solid fills and then build on that. I find that for me, that's the easiest and most logical way, and also helps in the future when I want to use my illustrations for projects. So hopefully that's helpful. I'm just going to read these to see if it's anything to do with following along is difficult for me as you're quite quick. Yes. Pause it. I know it would be really, it could be really challenging to do it at exactly the same speed. I am trying to go as slow as possible, and I also don't fast forward anything. So hopefully that is helpful to you. But yeah, always just pause so you can just practice it yourself. Maybe, you have to do it over again, just a step or whatever, but just, yeah. Or, another idea too, I might sound kind of funny, but when you do it, we could always change the speed of the playback. So you could put it at, like 0.75%, that kind of thing. You can make it slower too if that is helpful. So with the playback with the videos. So that could be an option as well. Let's see. Is there a good Procreate tutorial that can help bring me up to speed as I'm very new to it? I have a free Procreate for Beginners course, so absolutely. If you just go into the courses, there's a free course. It just goes over all the basics, and we do projects together. And if that's helpful to you, that will get you sort of set up and getting in the right direction. So hopefully that's helpful. Let's see. If the brush pressure sensitive, we're talking about brush sensitivity here. You may need to reduce your pressure when you're putting your shadows in. That's true too. I literally with my hand, not even worrying about the brush. Like I have no settings. I don't have any brush pressure sensitivity settings on my controls. I just use whatever I've created with the brushes. But I literally sometimes my hand is my pen is barely touching the iPad. It's just very light. So also practice with your own pressure. That would help too. Would using Gaussian blur help too? absolutely. I've done that too. Yeah. If your edges are too hard, absolutely easy way to do it. Especially if you have that layer clipped as a clipping mat, so it wouldn't blur out the edges on the edge you don't want. It's another way to do it is go and use your your smudge tool, and smudging the edges if you're having trouble with the blending. That's one way too. So kind of whatever your method of working is, if it's not exactly the same as mine and you found something that works for you, absolutely go do it for sure. Okay, let's see. Gaussian blur help that is a good one. Okay, I'm just going through here. What I mean is maybe she's pushing too hard on her Apple pencil. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that could be it too. So practice with your own hand pressure as well. Hillary says, I do a lot of your courses. Oh, thank you. I need to be careful filling up my iPad with beautiful drawings. What's the best to do to back them up? I actually just did a YouTube video on that, if that's helpful. I use my main thing, I did give you a couple of points in there on ways to minimize that, because I have this problem all the time. So I feel your pain. But I have a Dropbox, and I have, external servers that I do put my work into, just to back them up, of course, and then also to offload, because I still like keeping my working files, because I always think just in case. But that's something you can do, or of course you can move them to your computer if you just want them on a hard drive. So that's just my simple answer. But yeah, do check out my YouTube video. That might help you out with a few more details. Let's see. Does Gaussian blur or smudge reduce the quality for print? No, it shouldn't do it. It won't pixelate anything or anything like that. Now it's time for summer sun and sand countdown to summer. Awesome. All right. If you guys want it, I could make it happen. Hillary, I back them up monthly as a Procreate and PNG file to Google Docs and its own, in its own year, folder, and month. Excellent. Yeah, great idea for backup. External hard drive is a good thing too. Absolutely. Okay, so I did have another question about how to make drawings cute enough, and having trouble with that. Again, that's, I know, broken record, but it is a lot of practice. But it's understanding proportion is probably the biggest thing. I go through that actually quite a bit in this course, because obviously I wanted the characters to look cute and young and juvenile and all that kind of thing. So very often, the biggest thing is just having, close to 50-50 proportions, where your body's 50% and the head's 50%. That's right there. It's eye placement, it's soft edges, it's all sorts of things that help you do that. And it's tweaking. Just sometimes I don't get it right, immediately. Like sometimes, you kind of have to work at it and keep looking at it to assess and change things and try again and trial and error and all that kind of stuff. So, don't be hard on yourself if you don't get it right off the bat. It takes tweaking. But there's definitely things that, I do, not to be, not trying to be salesy or anything, but I do have that course on, cute character design. So we do cover some things in there as well. But let's see. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up here. Oh, thank you so much, Penny. We want a course for every season. Absolutely. I love doing them, so it's great. No, I'm happy to accommodate. We need cartoon trees, mushrooms, and gnomes, of course. Yes, well, some of the stuff is in the fairy tale course, but not, that's definitely incorporated in there for sure. Thanks for the backup tips. You're so welcome. Where do you find the inspiration for all the cute characters? I don't know. I don't really look at anything. It's just sort of after all these years, I guess you start to develop your style. And, that's, again, just drawing regularly, drawing daily, drawing, with a purpose too. Like, obviously this is my job, my career. So I am drawing with a purpose. So I do, have to have an idea and a concept, then you are trying to create around that. But definitely, like, after all these years and purposely developing my style, I also keep wanting to push myself too, and try to do something a little bit different, but still it always looks like me, but just you're constantly trying to try new things a little bit as well. So I guess that's your characters, what you were drawing before, kind of maybe change a little bit. So I don't know if that's helpful, but I don't really look at anything, but I just try to think just old school sort of storybook cuteness. That's pretty much it. Let's see. I can't wait to start the course. I really love the Christmas Advent calendar too. Oh, thank you so much. Any horses in any of your courses? Haha. We did a unicorn. We did a unicorn in the fairy tale once. We draw actually 3 unicorns, and then we fully illustrate one of them. So that's as close as I did to horses in a course. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, Tracy. Tracy's saying she got it for her birthday, the course, so that's so wonderful. Oh, thank you so much, Jordan. You're amazing. You guys are incredible. Yes, happy birthday. Okay, so hopefully, and then, we're talking about, sorry, Miss Well J. Sorry, I know that's not your name, but your little tagline here. She was asking about something being pixelated. I didn't quite write down the entire question, but she was having issues about painting in, zooming out, and then the lines were pixelated. If you want to ask that question again, if I'm not getting it right, but my first question is, how big is your drawing? Like, how big is the canvas? You know, that would be the first thing I would ask. So I always use a very large canvas because I'm creating, illustrations that can be used for, when people use my illustrations for commercial work and stuff like that, they're big enough for all the purposes you can think of. So it varies. I don't remember. It has been a few months. Oh yeah. So that would be just this. Make sure that you're working on a big canvas. I'm usually working on like 4,000 by 5,000 pixels. 300 DPI. That's big. I mean, so it's gonna take up room on your iPad, which is the only downside, but it does. I think it isn't that dynamic brush scaling also. Yeah, you can have issues with that. I have an Air Force, so I don't get a ton of layers. Oh, sorry. If you hear banging around, my children are home. So maybe they could keep it down while they're making lunch. Yeah. So, oh my goodness, we're already at 11 o'clock. That's crazy. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. So if there's any other questions, you can ask them. I'm a big fan. I think I have most of your art. I love to draw on the way to escape the world. How do you stay motivated? I get blocked sometimes and no motivation. Yeah. Easy to do. Well, like I said, I mean, this is what I do. It's my hobby and my work. So, sometimes I don't feel motivated. I'll be absolutely honest. Of course not. I mean, I'm human too. So it's, just the way it goes. But I think sometimes I just push through. If I'm, having to do something, obviously I have a deadline or something. So, I'm having to do it. And honestly, just sometimes that pushing through does get me through. But I'm looking forward to having a little bit. I think you guys know I never really take any time off. I actually am going to take a little bit of time off. So my kids, like I said, are home. It's spring break. So I'm going to take probably like 2 weeks and just lay a little low, not do any projects that, are for work, just for fun. And so if I'm not as speedy in my replies to emails, forgive me. I might try to step away from the computer just for a little bit and be back at it at the end of March. Yeah, I never do this, so I'm going to try to force myself to do it. And yeah, just like I said, actually enjoy this season coming up before Easter. So I hope you all do too. And that was the purpose of this course. So wonderful. Well, guys, thank you so much as always. I so appreciate all of you. It's such a joy and a pleasure to be with you. And I think about you all the time when I'm creating because, I just do it for you and I love that you enjoy it. So thank you so, so much. So I hope you have if you guys have spring break, enjoy it and hope you love the course. And yeah, we'll do it again soon. We will. Even if it's not for a course, we just got to do it anyways. Love seeing you. Thank you all. See you soon.